Yo, what is going on, NFL fans? This morning, Mel Kiper Jr. just released his first NFL mock draft after free agency. We're going to break down all of his picks in the first round, see what picks we like, which ones we don't like. Let's get into it. His first pick is still the same. He's going with Caleb Williams. After Justin Fields was shipped out to Pittsburgh for practically nothing, the Bears are without a doubt going to pick a quarterback. Will that be Caleb Williams? That seems to be the consensus around the league. There's not even any rumblings of possibly taking Jaden Daniels from LSU or Drake May from UNC. And then the next pick, he goes with Jaden Daniels. I tend to agree with him here. I think Jaden Daniels is a better fit with the Washington Commanders than a guy like Drake May. Drake May's more in that Phillip Rivers kind of Justin Herbert model, and Jaden Daniels is more of a guy like Cliff Kingsbury, the new offensive coordinator, has worked with the past, like Kyler Murray and Patrick Mahomes. Then he goes Drake May to the New England Patriots. We could very well see a situation where the Washington Commanders or the New England Patriots trade this pick if teams like, say, Minnesota are going to give enough juice. I'm thinking they're going to have to give up 11, 23, and maybe one, if not two, first-round picks in the next couple years. Because leaping from 11 to 2, a team like the Commanders could benefit from this because they're not a quarterback away from competing in the NFC at all. Not even drafting a quarterback is going to solve their problems in their own division, let alone the NFC. So they could benefit from multiple picks. And then if you're at 11, you could draft a guy like J.J. McCarthy or Bo Nix. And then you get the 23rd pick. And then you could also add some second-round picks or some first-round picks for next year. But with no trades, Drake May seems to be the guy. The Patriots' offense was horrible last year. Then he goes Marvin Harrison Jr. to Arizona, and then Malik Neighbors with the Chargers. I think everyone knows that Arizona needs a clear-cut number one receiver, whether that's Harrison or Neighbors. We'll see what happens on draft day. But it seems like the league likes Harrison Jr. more than Neighbors. Honestly, I think Malik Neighbors is better than Marvin Harrison Jr. He's a clean catcher of the football. And if you look at some of Marvin Harrison Jr.'s tape, there's a little wobble in some of his catches. The ball kind of bounces around in his hands a little bit. I saw that multiple times in his tape. I like Neighbors better. But for the Chargers, getting Neighbors at number 5 works great. They shipped Keenan Allen to the Bears and cut Mike Williams, so they definitely need a wide receiver. A lot of people thought they were going to go offensive line, but since they cleared out the whole wide receiver room, it's a no-brainer. They're going to take Neighbors or Harrison, whoever's left on the board. At number 6 with the Giants is where I start to kind of disagree with Rome Odunze. So, they have a so-so offensive line, but they also need a lot of help on defense. They have probably the worst cornerback room in the entire NFL. At number 8, I see the Atlanta Falcons addressing the defense. Definitely edge. So do they go with Dallas Turner or a guy like Laiatu Latu? In my opinion, Latu's tape is a lot better than Dallas Turner's. There are some health risk issues with Latu. So back in 2021, he medically retired when he was with Washington. He seems to have overcome those injury issues. That's why I think Mel Kiper Jr. picked Turner over Laiatu because of the injury concerns. You can't go wrong, Dallas Turner or Laiatu. Either one of those guys is really going to help the pass rush there. Number 9 is another spot I disagree with Mel Kiper Jr. Going Jared Verse, he's a good player, don't get me wrong. But Caleb Williams needs all the help he can get. There's a lot of really good offensive linemen on the board. There's Brock Bowers on the board. And then he's like, because they brought in Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen, what? He's going to play a year or two at the most. The dude's in his 30s. He's not getting any younger. And we see a big slide from that 32 age to 35 age with wide receivers. He was very productive last year, but he's not going to be on the team for 3 or 4 years. That's just a fact. So why wouldn't you go out and get a guy that can help you long term? There's a lot of really good offensive linemen that he has fallen, like J.C. Latham from Alabama. Fashanu from Penn State. I would rather go there and get some more offensive line help than address the defense with Jared Verse. I don't necessarily love that pick at number 9. And then number 10, giving Aaron Rodgers some serious help at tight end is awesome. They did address the offensive line, bringing in Tyron Smith from the Dallas Cowboys and Morgan Moses. But again, Tyron Smith is an older guy. They have some serious, good, quality offensive linemen in this spot. Do you bring in a weapon like Brock Bowers? I mean, they definitely need some help on offense, and Brock Bowers and Aaron Rodgers would be a great fit. I like this pick. I don't love it. I think if you're a Jets fan, you want to fix a need for the next decade. Not a guy like Brock Bowers, who's going to be great, but in 2 years when Aaron Rodgers retires, they don't have a quarterback again. And if they do have a mediocre quarterback, they're going to need offensive line help, because a great offensive line can help a mediocre quarterback. But Brock Bowers is great, but if Aaron Rodgers is gone and they have no offensive line help, that pick doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And then number 11, J.J. McCarthy. McCarthy's the wild card here. For the Minnesota Vikings, if you like McCarthy and you're not absolutely in love with one of the top 3 guys, I don't think the Commanders are going to trade. I really don't think the Bears are going to trade. The Patriots could benefit from a trade. So if you like a guy like Drake May, go up and get him. Trade 11 and 23 to go up and get him. But for JJ to fall in your lap at 11 and then you still have 23, seems like a pretty good deal to me. JJ McCarthy is really good, and he's super young. And he has the chance to throw to guys like Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson, the tight end. I mean, a lot of weapons there in Minnesota. I like the pick, JJ McCarthy. And I like this pick at number 12, Bo Nix. The Denver Broncos, man, they're such a disappointing team. If you're a Broncos fan, you got to absolutely hate. They traded Judy. They have no quarterback situation. They are years and years away from contention. Is Bo Nix' skill set going to translate to the NFL? That's what Sean Payton's going to have to decide. He was probably the most accurate passer in college football last year, but is the competition he faced in Oregon similar to the NFL? Probably not. But even if he was, I think he completed 77% of his passes in college. If he can complete 68 to 70% of his passes in the NFL, he'll be a suitable starter for years to come. And then the Raiders picking J.C. Latham, the offensive tackle out of Alabama. I like Fashanu better than Latham personally. I would have picked Fashanu here. I would have swapped these 2 picks. I would have went, Fashanu at 13 and then maybe, J.C. Latham to the Saints at 14. And then at 15, the Colts definitely need some help in the secondary and getting the number 1 corner who fell all the way to 15 in Quinyon Mitchell. He was great at the Senior Bowl. He had really good metrics in grading this year. He is a stud. He's good with the pass. He's a good tackler. He puts his nose in the run game. I like Quinyon Mitchell. And then the Seattle Seahawks drafted Troy Fautanu, the guard, who Mel Kiper suggests could possibly play center. I like JPJ way better than him. I think he's a great center, and I would have picked JPJ over Troy Fautanu, the guard there. And number 17, Terrion Arnold falling to the Jaguars at 17 is best case scenario for the Jaguars. They need a lot of help. They could go wide receiver here, a guy like Brian Thomas Jr. He ran a 4.3 40. He's 6'3". He's an absolute monster. Oh, it's going to be tough. But Doug Peterson is an offensive-minded coach, so I really wouldn't be surprised if they flipped the script and went with a guy like Brian Thomas Jr. There's a lot of Adonai Mitchell still out there. There's a lot of really good wide receivers in this spot. But Terrion Arnold could be a starting cornerback for a decade. He's got a huge skill set. I really like him. And then Cincinnati. If I'm the Bengals, I'm picking the best offensive lineman available. I don't know who's going to be there at 18. A lot of these offensive linemen are starting to go off the board. I like Fuaga. And a lot of my mock drafts, I have Fuaga going up higher in the draft. So if they can get him at 18, it's a win-win for the Bengals there. And then the LA Rams, oh gosh, Aaron Donald just retiring out of nowhere seemingly. I don't think anybody saw that coming. So they got to go D-tackle here. Byron Murphy from Texas is the best D-tackle in the draft. You got to plug that hole up. And this guy falls to your lap at 19. It seems like, a win-win there for the Rams. Up next in the draft, picking at number 20 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's been crazy for the Steelers. They brought in Russell Wilson. They traded for Justin Fields. They say Russell Wilson's going to be the guy, but I don't know. Justin Fields, I think, is a little bit better than people think, and he could possibly beat out Russell Wilson, who's getting older. But we'll see what happens at quarterback. But bringing in a guy like Brian Thomas Jr., 4.3 speed, 6'3", 17 touchdowns last year at LSU from Jaden Daniels. The dude is an absolute monster. Whoever it's Russell Wilson or a guy like Fields, them being able to throw the ball to a guy like Brian Thomas Jr. and George Pickens, it looks a lot better than the offense did last year. Next up at 21 is the Miami Dolphins. Look at all the guys they cut or like let walk. Robert Hunt, the guard. D tackle Christian Wilkins. Linebacker Andrew Van Ginkel and Jerome Baker. And then cornerback Xavier Howard. I know Kiper says he wants to go offensive line, but Laiatu Latu is still available in his mock draft at 21. Go get Latu. He is a generational talent. For you to be able to get a guy like that at 21 is a no-brainer. Graham Barton, okay, but there's a lot more depth at interior offensive alignment later in the draft. A bunch of guys from Michigan will be available in the 3rd and 4th round, so I'd wait. Bring in a bigger talent. Even a guy like Jeremiah Trotter Jr., the linebacker, is a stud. I like him there. The Eagles, Nate Wiggins, cornerback from Clemson. So the only thing that makes me a little nervous about him is 6'1", 173. The dude is like super skinny, 173. How is he going to be tackling 215-pound running backs, 225-pound running backs, monster freaking tight ends? The wide receivers are getting bigger and bigger. Brian Thomas Jr., 6'3", over 210 pounds. How is he going to tackle him? He's giving up 40, 50 pounds to these guys. Yikes. I don't love that pick. I like it. I don't love it. I don't know. Cooper DeJean seems like a little bit better of a pick. He's a little bigger, a little stronger. But the Minnesota Vikings, the pick they're getting from Houston, get to address the outside corner position. They were terrible. 28th ranked in passing yards allowed to receivers last year, over 3,000 yards. Going corner here is a great pick. I love that. And Dallas Cowboys taking Tyler Guyton, the offensive tackle from Oklahoma. I like Mims better than Guyton personally, but you can't go wrong. You got to bring in somebody to replace Tyron Smith, and Guyton has the most experience at left tackle out of the guys that are left. And the Packers, man, at 25, if Laiatu Latu falls to the Packers at 25, this Packers team is going to be unbelievable next year. They addressed the safety position, bringing in Xavier McKinney from the Giants. This defense that struggled a little bit last year, especially in the secondary, is starting to look pretty formidable, especially if you can bring in a guy like Latu who's going to get you, I'm saying, at least 10 sacks next year. Mark my words, book that, guys. 10 sacks for Latu in his rookie year. Packers fans got to be stoked. I love that pick for the Packers. Tampa Bay bringing in Xavier Worthy. Yeah, he's super fast. I don't love his hands. I don't know. I don't know if I like Adonai Mitchell. I think he had one drop last year. Adonai Mitchell, I like that pick better than Xavier Worthy. Sure, he's super fast. 5'11", 165. Is he the next Deshaun Jackson? Because if he's not, you got to pick Adonai Mitchell, who's got way better hands. Arizona picking Chop Robinson. I don't love that. Chop Robinson was really inconsistent, to say the least, at Penn State. And Jackson Powers Johnson hasn't been selected yet. This late in the draft, he's the clear-cut number one center in the entire draft. So get Kyler Murray some help. Add Marvin Harrison Jr. I know their coach is a defensive-minded head coach, and he might want to address the defense that was not very good at rushing the passer last year. But I think you can get similar value in the 2nd and 3rd round as a guy like Chop Robinson. He's got the tools, but you've seen a ton of guys with great tools, like Marcus Smith with the Eagles a few years ago. He tested really well. He had all the attributes, but he was inconsistent in college, and he ended up being a bust. I think Chop Robinson has huge bust potential. And then the Bills getting TJ Tampa. I also like the Bills bringing in a guy like Adonai Mitchell. Adonai Mitchell, pair him up with Stephon Diggs, who seems to be perpetually unhappy in Buffalo. Give Josh Allen some more weapons, man. TJ Tampa, I'm a big fan of his. He's really good. but he's got some injury history that I don't particularly like. At 29, the Lions are picking. I hate this pick. They have a good wide receiver crew. They got a good tight end. They don't need any more help on offense. Address the defense. Mel Kiper, what the hell are you doing? There's two really good safeties. If you pull up PFF, Tyler Nubin and Javon Bullard, the safeties, are amazing, dude. 89 grade last year for Nubin. And Bullard is a stud, dude. 80 in 2022. Almost an 83 last year. Bring in one of those safeties. Trash pick. All right, next up, number 30, the Baltimore Ravens. Mims, if he's still available. I had him going to the Cowboys earlier, but the best offensive lineman available right now in Kiper's draft is a guy like Mims. I like this pick. I don't love it. Picking at number 31 is the 49ers. They definitely need some offensive line help. Roger Rosengartner, the offensive tackle from Washington. He seems like a pretty decent pass blocker, so I like that. And wrapping up Mel Kiper's mock draft, he's going with Adonai Mitchell, the wide receiver from Texas. Adonai Mitchell has some of the best hands in college football. I love this pick. If you're a Chiefs fan, Adonai Mitchell, Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, that offense is starting to look pretty bomb again, and the three-peat could be on the horizon. Let me know in the comments below. Do you like my picks a little bit better than Mel Kiper's, especially later in the draft when things get mixed up a little bit? If you haven't yet, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Peace.